Emma Mitchell froze at the white picket gate, her Princess Elsa umbrella slipping from numb fingers. The morning mail scattered across wet concrete as two German Shepherd puppies rose on trembling hind legs, tiny paws pressed together in an unmistakable gesture of prayer. They weren't playing. They were begging. Mrs. Henderson's coffee mug shattered against her kitchen floor, brown liquid spreading like blood. Through her window, she watched the 6-year-old girl stagger backward, her late mother's oversized rain boots catching on the curb. The puppy's cries cut through Seattle's morning drizzle. Not barks, but something almost human, almost words. Behind the puppies, a dark trail glistened on wet pavement. Red drops, fresh and bright, leading back into the fog that swallowed Maple Street. Emma's hand found her mother's St. Christopher necklace, the metal cold against her racing pulse. "Don't follow it, Mrs." Henderson's voice cracked through her screen door, but Emma was already moving, drawn by something older than fear. What mother lay dying in that fog, and why did these puppies know exactly where to find the one child who might save her? Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments along with the city you're watching from now. Let's continue with the story. The suburb of Bellevue had always been the kind of place where American dreams came wrapped in white picket fences and mortgage payments. But this October morning, with evergreens dripping rain and the smell of wood smoke mixing with damp earth, those dreams felt as fragile as the autumn leaves plastering themselves against Dr. Robert Mitchell's veterinary clinic windows. Emma Mitchell was the kind of child neighbors called an old soul. At 6 years old, she wore her mother's St. Christopher necklace like armor against a world that had already taken too much. Sarah Mitchell had been gone 2 years now. Cancer didn't care about little girls who needed their mothers, and Emma had filled that void the only way she knew how, by talking to every creature that would listen. The squirrels knew about her bad dreams, the robins heard about her first day of kindergarten, and somewhere, she believed, her mama heard it all. "Animals understand," Sarah had whispered from her hospital bed, fingers weak against Emma's cheek. "They know pure hearts. When I'm gone, baby, remember, real angels don't always have wings. Sometimes they have 4 legs and wet noses." Dr. Robert Mitchell had been one of Seattle's most respected veterinarians before his wife's death. Head of surgery at Seattle Animal Hospital, published in journals, invited to conferences. But grief does strange things to a man's priorities. The day he'd been fired for providing free treatment to a homeless veteran's dog was the day he'd realized Sarah would have been proud. His small practice on Maple Street barely kept the lights on, but at least he could look Emma in the eye when she asked if Daddy helped animals today. Marcus Webb lived 3 blocks away in a house that had stopped being a home 5 years ago. 45 years old, built like the police canine trainer he'd once been, Marcus moved through life like a man walking underwater. Every morning he still set out 2 coffee cups. Every night he still checked Danny's room. 8 years old forever, frozen in time like the pencil marks on the doorframe that would never climb higher. The warehouse fire had taken 43 minutes. Danny had been on a school field trip, excited to see where Daddy worked with the police dogs. Marcus had been in a meeting when the electrical fire started. By the time he'd reached the scene, Bella, his best canine, his partner, his friend, was already inside, already searching. She'd brought out 12 people that day. 12 lives saved, but not the 13th, not the one that mattered most. Mrs. Dorothy Henderson watched it all from her window, the way widows do when the world becomes a television show they can't turn off. 75 years old, she'd buried a husband, lost a grandson, and watched her only son transform from hero to ghost. Her refrigerator still held Danny's drawings. Her heart still held a grandmother's grief, and her conscience, well, that was about to be tested in ways she'd never imagined. The puppies moved like shadows through the rain, their small bodies low to the ground as they led Emma away from the safety of her front yard. Storm, the larger one with silver-gray fur, kept glancing back with those unsettling blue eyes, checking that she followed. Shadow, smaller and midnight black, whimpered with each step, leaving prints in the mud that filled with pink-tinged water. Emma's heart hammered against her ribs as they turned down the alley behind the Hendersons' house. The abandoned groundskeeper's shed loomed ahead, its door hanging askew like a broken jaw. She'd been told never to play here. Daddy said it wasn't safe, that the old wood could have nails and splinters. But the puppies didn't hesitate, slipping through the gap with practiced ease. The smell hit her first. Copper and infection, fear and something wild. As her eyes adjusted to the dim light filtering through holes in the roof, Emma saw her. The German shepherd lay on her side in the corner, her breathing shallow and labored. Even in the gloom, Emma could see the magnificent animal she must have been. Powerful chest, intelligent face, the kind of dog that looked like she could take down a bad guy or comfort a crying child with equal skill. But now, dark stains matted her golden-brown coat, and a fresh gash ran along her shoulder, angry and deep. Her collar was gone, leaving only a pale line in her fur, and when she lifted her head at Emma's approach, her brown eyes held a weariness that went beyond physical pain. "Oh," Emma breathed, dropping to her knees in the dirty straw. The puppies pressed against their mother, and Storm made that strange, almost talking sound again, urgent and pleading. Bella, though Emma didn't know her name yet, tried to lift her head higher, muscles trembling with effort. On her inner thigh, partially hidden by matted fur, Emma glimpsed something that made her gasp, a tattoo. Numbers and letters in fading blue ink. K9 SPD 22847. "You're a police dog," Emma whispered, her small hand hovering over the injured animal, afraid to touch and cause more pain. "Like on TV. You catch bad guys." But if this was a police dog, where was her handler? Why was she hiding in an abandoned shed with wounds that looked fresh, deliberate? Emma might have been only 6, but she'd watched enough of Daddy work to know the difference between an accident and something worse. The mother dog's breathing hitched, and both puppies began whimpering in earnest. Storm grabbed Emma's sleeve in his tiny teeth, tugging. Shadow pawed at his mother's face, trying to wake her from whatever dark place she was sliding toward. Emma made a decision that would change everything. She shrugged off her yellow raincoat and laid it gently over the shivering dog. "I'll be right back," she promised, looking into those ancient brown eyes. "I'm going to get my daddy. He fixes animals." "He'll fix you." But as she turned to go, Bella's reaction stopped her cold. The injured dog lunged forward with strength she shouldn't have had, teeth bared not in aggression but in desperate warning. Her eyes rolled white with fear, fixed on something beyond Emma, beyond the shed, as if the very mention of adults, of help, triggered some terrible memory. The puppies responded to their mother's distress, placing themselves between Emma and the door, their tiny bodies trembling but determined. Storm's blue eyes held an intelligence that seemed impossible in something so young, and in that moment Emma understood. Someone had hurt this dog, someone she knew, someone she trusted, and that someone might come back. Emma knelt again, her decision made with the clarity that only children possess. "Okay," she whispered, stroking Bella's massive head with gentle fingers. "No grown-ups. Not yet. But you need help, and you need it now." Outside, she could hear Mrs. Henderson calling for her cat, the normal sounds of a Saturday morning in suburbia. But inside this shed, Emma had stumbled into something that felt bigger, darker, more important than anything in her 6 years of life. The digital thermometer in her pocket, the one Daddy let her use to play veterinarian, read 103.8, when she placed it gently in Bella's ear. Too hot, much too hot, and those wounds needed cleaning, needed medicine, needed more than a first grader could provide. But first, she needed to get them somewhere safe, somewhere hidden, somewhere a bad person wouldn't think to look. The red radio flyer wagon bumped over wet grass as Emma pulled with all her might, Bella's weight making the wheels sink into the soft earth. It had taken 20 minutes and every ounce of strength in her small body to get the injured dog from the shed to her backyard playhouse. Storm and Shadow trotted alongside, occasionally pushing their noses against their mother as if to say, "Hold on, just a little further." Emma had lined the wagon with every towel she could steal from the laundry room, creating a nest that was already soaking through with rain and worse. Bella's breathing came in short gasps, but she remained silent, as if years of training had taught her that sound meant danger. The playhouse, a birthday gift from Grandma before she went to heaven, sat tucked behind the Mitchells' garage, painted pink and purple with real glass windows and a tiny porch. Emma had furnished it with cast-off cushions and her mother's old quilts, creating a sanctuary where she held tea parties with stuffed animals and told secrets to the sparrows that nested in the eaves. Now it would hide something far more serious than imaginary friends. She'd just managed to drag Bella inside when she heard the truck. The engine growled to a stop in their driveway, and through the playhouse window, Emma watched a man unfold himself from a black pickup. He was big, bigger than Daddy, with shoulders that blocked the light and hands that clenched and unclenched as he walked. His face looked like someone had carved it from stone and forgotten to add the smile lines. Marcus Webb had come calling. "Dr. Mitchell?" His voice carried across the yard, deep and official. "Marcus Webb. We spoke on the phone about the missing K9. Emma's father emerged from the house, wiping his hands on a dish towel. Even from her hiding spot, Emma could see his confusion. "I'm sorry, Mr. Webb, but I haven't received any calls about a missing dog. Are you sure you have the right—" "Cut the act." Marcus pulled a manila folder from his jacket. "Your daughter was seen near the old shed 20 minutes ago. My mother lives on that street. She called me." He slapped the papers against his palm. "I have legal documentation. That dog is dangerous and needs to be put down immediately." Inside the playhouse, Bella's eyes flickered open at the sound of Marcus's voice. Her whole body tensed, and Storm pressed against her, making soft huffing sounds of distress. Shadow crept to Emma's side, trembling. "Mr. Webb?" Dr. Mitchell's voice stayed calm, professional. "I can assure you my daughter hasn't brought home any dogs. She knows the rules about— She attacked a child." Marcus's lie came smooth as silk. "Unprovoked. The department's liability insurance demands immediate euthanization. I have the court order right here." Emma bit her knuckle to keep from crying out. "Bella? Attack someone? The dog who'd let her puppies climb all over her without so much as a grumble? Who'd been too weak to even stand?" Through the window, she watched her father examine the papers, his frown deepening. "This is dated 3 weeks ago. If the dog's been missing that long—" "She escaped during transport." Marcus's voice hardened. "Look, doctor, I'm trying to do this the easy way. That dog is a weapon. She's malfunctioned. Your cooperation is required by law." That's when Mrs. Henderson appeared. The elderly woman moved across the yard with surprising speed for someone her age, her church dress still damp from morning services. "Robert, is everything all right? I saw Marcus's truck." Emma watched something pass between mother and son, a look so complicated it made her stomach hurt. Mrs. Henderson's eyes darted to the playhouse, then away, as if she knew exactly what she'd find there, but couldn't bear to confirm it. "Mom," Marcus's voice changed, became smaller somehow. "You should go inside. This is official business." "Official business?" Mrs. Henderson's laugh was bitter as unsweetened coffee. "Is that what we're calling it now?" The dog is dangerous. That dog, Mrs. Henderson interrupted, her voice shaking, saved 12 people. Would have been 13 if... She stopped, pressing a handkerchief to her mouth. Doctor. Mitchell looked between them, understanding dawning. Mr. Webb, I think there's been a misunderstanding. If you could just... There's no misunderstanding. Marcus's composure cracked like ice in spring. That dog failed. She left him there. Left my boy to... He stopped, chest heaving, rain running down his face like tears he wouldn't shed. In the playhouse, Bella whimpered for the first time, the sound so soft only Emma heard it. The puppies huddled closer, and Emma made a decision that would have made her mother proud and her father terrified. She stood up, opened the playhouse door, and stepped onto the tiny porch. She's hurt, Emma announced, her voice carrying across the yard with startling clarity. Someone hurt her real bad, and she needs help, and her babies need their mama, and you can't take her. 3 adult faces turned toward her in shock. But it was the 4th face, Bella's, visible now through the playhouse door, that made Marcus Webb take a step backward as if he'd been shot, because Bella, despite everything, had managed to stand. She swayed on 3 legs, the 4th held gingerly off the ground, but she stood. And she placed herself between Emma and the world, just as she'd once placed herself between a fire and the people inside. Just as she'd tried to place herself between Danny Webb and death 5 years ago. The standoff in the Mitchells' backyard lasted exactly 13 seconds. Emma counted them in her head the way Mama had taught her to count during thunderstorms. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, while Bella swayed on 3 legs and Marcus Webb's face went through more changes than Seattle weather. By 13 Mississippi, her father had moved. Emma, sweetheart, step away from the dog. Dr. Mitchell's voice carried that careful tone he used when dealing with scared animals. But Emma wasn't scared. Not of Bella. She was scared of the man whose hands kept clenching and unclenching, who looked at Bella like she was a ghost he wanted to exorcise. She's bleeding, Daddy. Bad. Emma didn't move from her spot beside the playhouse door. Storm and Shadow flanked their mother, tiny guardians that would have been comical if not for the desperation in their eyes. Someone hurt her with something sharp, and her temperature is 103.8. Dr. Mitchell's expression shifted. His daughter knew enough from helping at the clinic to recognize danger signs. How long has she been like this? Stop. Marcus's voice cut through the rain. That dog is my property, my responsibility. You touch her, you're interfering with police business. Former police business, Mrs. Henderson corrected quietly. She'd moved closer to the playhouse, her weathered hands gripping her purse like a lifeline. You haven't been with the department for 3 years, Marcus, not since... Don't! The word came out raw, wounded, but Dr. Mitchell was already moving, his medical instincts overriding everything else. He knelt beside Bella, hands gentle and professional as he assessed her injuries. The dog didn't growl, didn't snap, just watched him with those ancient brown eyes that had seen too much. This needs immediate attention, he announced. The shoulder wound is infected. She's septic. Without antibiotics in the next few hours, then let her die. Marcus's words fell like stones into still water. She should have died 5 years ago. Would have saved everyone a lot of pain. Emma felt something hot and fierce rise in her chest. That's mean. That's the meanest thing I ever heard. She's somebody's mama. My son was somebody's everything, Marcus roared back. And for a moment, Emma saw not a scary man, but a broken one. 8 years old? 8? Had his whole life ahead of him, and she... He pointed at Bella with a shaking finger. She chose strangers over him. 12 strangers instead of one little boy who called her his best friend. The rain intensified, drumming on the playhouse roof like impatient fingers. Mrs. Henderson made a sound between a sob and a sigh. Marcus, please. You know that's not... I don't know anything except my boy is dead, and that dog is alive and breathing, and it's wrong. It's all wrong, Doctor. Mitchell stood slowly, placing himself between Marcus and the playhouse. Mr. Webb, I understand you're grieving, but this animal is suffering. Whatever happened in the past, right now she needs medical attention. Let me stabilize her, then we can discuss. There's nothing to discuss. Marcus pulled out his phone. You want to do this the hard way? Fine. I'll call the real cops. Have you arrested for harboring stolen property? See how your little girl likes visiting Daddy in jail. Emma's eyes went wide. Jail? They put animal doctors in jail? But before her father could respond, Mrs. Henderson stepped forward. You'll do no such thing. Her voice carried 75 years of authority. Robert, take that dog inside and treat her. I'll handle my son. Mom. Don't you, Mom, me, Marcus Andrew Webb. I've held my tongue for 5 years, watched you poison yourself with guilt and whiskey, but I won't watch you destroy what's left of your soul. She turned to Dr. Mitchell. The wound on her shoulder, does it look like it came from a knife? Dr. Mitchell nodded grimly. Among other things. He did it this morning, Mrs. Henderson continued, her voice steady despite the tears on her cheeks. Found her hiding under the Jacobsons' deck. They're in Florida for the month. He's been hunting her for 3 weeks, ever since she escaped from his garage. You knew? Marcus stared at his mother. You knew she was here and didn't tell me? I knew my son had become someone his boy wouldn't recognize. The words hit harder than any slap. Danny loved that dog, loved her like she hung the moon. You think he'd want this? You think he's up there cheering while you hunt down his best friend? Emma watched Storm creep forward, the bold puppy approaching Marcus with cautious steps. The man froze as the small gray form sat at his feet and looked up with those startling blue eyes, eyes the exact shade of Danny's, though Marcus couldn't know that. Shadow stayed with Bella, but Storm seemed drawn to the broken man like a magnet to iron. Get it away from me, Marcus whispered, but he didn't move. He knows you're sad, Emma said softly. Dogs always know. Mama said they can smell feelings. He probably smells all the sad coming off you like smoke. Emma, her father warned, but she kept talking. When Mama died, I was so mad at God, mad at the doctors, mad at everybody. But Mama said being mad just makes the hurt grow bigger, like feeding a mean plant. She said love's the only thing that makes hurt shrink. Marcus laughed, ugly and sharp. Love? You want to talk about love? I loved my son. I love that dog. Look where it got me. But you still love them, Emma insisted, with the stubborn certainty of childhood. That's why you're so mad. You can't be mad at someone you don't love. It just comes out sideways, like when I threw my bear at the wall 'cause I missed Mama so much, Doctor. Mitchell used the distraction to carefully lift Bella. She whimpered once, low and pained, but didn't struggle. The puppies followed as he carried her toward the house, Storm casting one last look at Marcus before trotting after his family. I need to treat her now, Dr. Mitchell said firmly. Mr. Webb, you can call whoever you want, but I'm not letting an animal suffer to satisfy your need for revenge. That's not who I am. That's not who I'm teaching my daughter to be. Marcus stood in the rain, phone in hand, looking lost. Mrs. Henderson touched his arm. Come inside, son. Let's get out of this weather. We need to talk. Really talk. About Danny. About that day. About what I saw. What you saw? Marcus's voice cracked like a teenager's. You weren't there. You were at the grocery store. I lied. The admission hung between them. I was there, Marcus. In the crowd. I saw everything. I've been carrying it for 5 years because I thought you needed someone to blame, but I was wrong. The truth might hurt, but it's got to hurt less than this." Emma didn't hear what happened next because her father had carried Bella inside, laying her on the exam table he'd set up in what used to be Sarah's craft room. His hands moved with practiced efficiency, but Emma saw the worry in his eyes. Baby, I need you to hold the puppies. Can you do that? Keep them calm but out of the way?" She nodded, gathering Storm and Shadow into her lap. They were heavier than they looked, solid little bodies that vibrated with anxiety. Shadow kept trying to return to his mother, while Storm watched everything with those too smart eyes. "Is she going to die, Daddy?" Dr. Mitchell didn't lie to her. He never had, not even about Mama. "She's very sick. The infection has spread to her blood. See how her gums are pale? And feel, careful, how hot she is. Her body's fighting hard, but it's losing. What does she need? Antibiotics, the strong kind, IV fluids, surgery to clean and close that wound properly." He pulled off his gloves with a snap. "And about $15,000 we don't have." Emma knew about money troubles. She'd heard Daddy on the phone with the bank, seen him rubbing his forehead while looking at bills. She knew why they'd moved from the big house to this smaller one, why she couldn't go to the fancy preschool anymore. "What about my college fund? Grandma left money for when I'm big." Her father's hands stilled. "Emma, no. That's for your future. Your mother would—" "Mama would help." Emma's chin jutted out stubbornly. "She always helped. Remember when she gave our Christmas money to that family whose house burned? She said love matters more than things." Through the window, they could see Marcus and his mother on the back porch. Mrs. Henderson had her arm around her son, and his shoulders shook with what might have been rain or might have been tears. "There might be another problem," Dr. Mitchell said slowly. "Some of these wounds— this dog was hurt on purpose, multiple times. If Mr. Webb did this, it's a crime. I should report it. But then Bella would have to go away, right? For evidence?" Her father nodded. "Probably." Emma looked down at the puppies in her lap, then at their mother, panting on the table. "What if we don't tell? What if we just fix her? That's not—" Dr. Mitchell stopped, really looking at his daughter. 6 years old and already learning that sometimes the right thing and the legal thing weren't the same. "Let me see what I can do. Stay here. Watch them." He left Emma alone with 3 dogs and the weight of impossible choices. Shadow finally settled, curling against her stomach, but Storm stayed alert, watching the door. On the table, Bella's breathing grew more labored. "Please don't die," Emma whispered. "Your babies need you. And I think Mr. Marcus needs you too, even if he doesn't know it. Sometimes people get so full of mad they can't see the love underneath, but it's there. Mama said love never really goes away. It just gets covered up sometimes like snow on flowers, but spring always comes." She didn't know if dogs understood metaphors, but Bella's tail twitched once, weakly. 20 minutes later, 20 long minutes of watching Bella's chest rise and fall, counting breaths like she'd once counted thunderclaps, her father returned. His face was strange, like he'd seen something that surprised him. "Mr. Webb is gone, but Mrs. Henderson is still here. She wants to talk to you." Emma found the old woman in their living room, studying the family photos on the mantel, pictures of happier times, her parents' wedding, Emma's first birthday, Mama holding her at the beach last summer before the cancer came back. "You have your mother's eyes," Mrs. Henderson said softly. "Same way of looking at the world, like it might break if you're not careful with it. Daddy says Bella needs medicine we can't afford." Mrs. Henderson turned, and Emma saw her eyes were red-rimmed but determined. "Sit down, child. I need to tell you a story about a boy named Danny and a dog named Bella, and why sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let go." Emma sat, still holding the puppies. Storm had finally relaxed, his head heavy on her arm. Shadow snored softly, trusting in the way only babies can. "5 years ago," Mrs. Henderson began, "there was a fire at a warehouse, big building full of chemicals and whatnot. Caught fire during a school field trip. Danny's class was there to see the K-9 unit demonstrate. My grandson loved dogs more than anything in this world, wanted to be just like his daddy, training them to help people." She pulled out her phone, showing Emma a picture. A boy with Marcus's strong jaw but softer eyes, laughing as Bella licked his face. Both of them younger, brighter, unburdened. When the fire started, it was chaos. Smoke everywhere. Kids screaming. The firefighters hadn't arrived yet, but Bella, she didn't wait. Went right in. Started bringing out children, one after another. Teachers, too. 12 people she saved. Emma. 12 lives. But not Danny. Mrs. Henderson shook her head. "She tried. Oh, honey, she tried. Went back in 3 times looking for him, but Danny—" Her voice broke. The security footage showed later. He'd gone back for something. His little sister's class hamster. Couldn't stand to leave it. By the time Bella found him, the smoke was too thick. She stayed with him, Emma, stayed until the firefighters dragged them both out, but it was too late. Emma felt tears on her cheeks. "That's not her fault." "No, it's not. But Marcus needed someone to blame besides himself. See, he was supposed to be there, supposed to be doing the demonstration, but he'd gotten called to a meeting, chose work over his boy's field trip. The guilt of that." Mrs. Henderson wiped her eyes. "It broke something in him, and when something's broken that bad, sometimes it tries to break everything else to match. But Bella saved all those other kids. She did. And you know what Danny would have said about that? He would have said, 'Good girl, Bella. You did good.' Because that boy had a heart bigger than Texas. Used to bring home every stray he found, drive his daddy crazy with all the critters he'd try to save." Storm lifted his head suddenly, alert. From the other room came the sound of commotion. Dr. Mitchell's voice, urgent, calling for towels. They rushed back to find Bella seizing, her body rigid with convulsions. Dr. Mitchell worked frantically, injecting something into her leg, trying to stop the reaction. "She's going into shock." "The infection, it's overwhelming her system. Without proper antibiotics—" "How much?" Mrs. Henderson asked sharply. "Exactly how much to save her?" "The surgery alone is $5,000. The ICU care, the medications, $15,000 minimum, maybe more." Mrs. Henderson set her purse on the counter and pulled out a checkbook. "Harold left me more than I need. Been sitting in that account gathering dust while I gathered regrets. Time to put it to use." "Mrs. Henderson, I can't—" "You can and you will." She wrote with steady hands. $20,000. That should cover it, and then some. Maybe set up a fund for other families who can't afford care." Emma watched in amazement. "But Mr. Marcus, won't he be mad?" "Let me worry about my son. He's hurting, but he's not evil, just lost. Sometimes saving one life helps us remember why all lives matter." She tore out the check. "Now save that dog, doctor. Save her for Danny. Save her for those puppies. Save her because it's right." Dr. Mitchell took the check with shaking hands. "I'll need to call in favors. Get her to the emergency clinic. They have the equipment." "Then go," Mrs. Henderson shooed him. "Emma and I will watch the puppies. Won't we, dear?" And so Emma found herself sitting on the kitchen floor with a 75-year-old woman, 2 German Shepherd puppies, and the weight of unfolding miracles. They made formula from supplies her father kept for emergencies, feeding the puppies with tiny bottles while Bella fought for her life across town. "Tell me about your mama," Mrs. Henderson said, as Shadow latched onto his bottle with surprising strength. "She was the best mama in the whole world. Used to sing to me every night. Said love was the only medicine that worked on everything. Wise woman. What was her favorite song? 'You Are My Sunshine.' She sang it even when she was sick. Said I was her sunshine even on cloudy days." Mrs. Henderson smiled. "Danny used to sing that to Bella. Changed the words, though. 'You are my puppy, my only puppy.' Made Marcus crazy, the howling duets those two would have." They sat in comfortable silence, broken only by the puppy's enthusiastic nursing. Storm finished first, belly round and tight, and promptly fell asleep in Emma's lap. Shadow took longer, pausing frequently to look around as if checking for his mother. "She'll come back," Emma told him firmly. "Mamas always come back if they can. And Bella's the strongest mama ever. She saved 12 people. She can save herself." 3 hours later, as the rain finally stopped and weak sunlight painted rainbows in the puddles, Dr. Mitchell called. Bella had survived the surgery. Critical but stable. The antibiotics were working. She was fighting. Mrs. Henderson closed her eyes in relief. "Thank the Lord." "Can we see her?" "Tomorrow," her father promised over the phone. "She needs rest. But Em, you saved her life. You and Mrs. Henderson. I'm proud of you, baby." That night, Emma slept on the living room floor with the puppies, her sleeping bag spread beneath the window where she could see the first star. Mrs. Henderson had gone home to wait for Marcus, armed with truth and determination to save her son from himself. "Mama," Emma whispered to the star, "I helped today, like you taught me, even when it was scary, even when the grown-ups said no. Is that okay?" Storm yipped in his sleep, paws twitching as he dreamed. Shadow burrowed deeper into her armpit. And somewhere across town, Bella breathed in and out, each breath a small victory against the darkness that had tried to claim her. The star twinkled, and Emma chose to believe it was her mother saying yes. The second night arrived with the kind of bone-deep chill that made Seattle feel like the edge of the world. Emma woke to Storm's frantic barking and the sound of breaking glass. Her father's footsteps thundered overhead, then down the stairs. "Emma, take the puppies to the bathroom. Lock the door. Now." She didn't argue. Scooping up both puppies, Shadow still groggy, Storm rigid with alertness, she ran to the small bathroom under the stairs. Behind her, the front door crashed open. "Where is she?" Marcus's voice, slurred and raw. "Where's my dog?" Emma pressed her ear to the bathroom door, heart hammering. The puppies whimpered, sensing danger in the way animals always do. She heard her father's calm doctor voice, the kind he used with panicked pet owners. "Mr. Webb, you're drunk. You need to leave before..." "Before what? You call the cops. Go ahead, call them. Tell them Marcus Webb wants his property back. Tell them..." A crash. Something heavy hitting the floor. "Tell them I'm done pretending that dog deserves to live when my boy doesn't." "Bella's at the emergency clinic," Dr. Mitchell said steadily. "She's still in critical condition. Even if I wanted to give her to you, which I don't, she can't be moved." "Liar," another crash. "Mom told me everything, how you saved her, how that little brat of yours thinks she's some kind of hero. Well, heroes get people killed. That dog's a hero, and my Danny's dead." Emma clutched the puppies tighter. Storm growled, a sound too big for his tiny body. Shadow pressed against her chest, trembling. Through the door crack she could see shadows moving in the hallway, her father backing up, Marcus advancing. "You want to know what really happened that day?" Marcus's voice cracked. "I'll tell you. I chose a meeting over my son, a stupid budget meeting. He begged me to come. 'Please, Daddy, you promised,' but I had important police business." "Marcus, shut up." "You don't get to Marcus me. You have your daughter. You get to tuck her in every night, hear her laugh, watch her grow up. You know what I have? A room full of toys nobody plays with, and a dog who lived when he didn't." The sound that came next made Emma squeeze her eyes shut. A grown man sobbing, ugly and raw. The puppies went silent, even Storm's brave growls fading. "She tried," Dr. Mitchell said softly. "The reports say she went back 3 times. "I know what the reports say!" Marcus roared. "I've read them 1,000 times, memorized every word. Subject K9 entered burning structure at 1447, extracted 12 civilians, re-entered structure searching for remaining victim. Found victim in supply closet with deceased hamster in arms. Victim had succumbed to smoke inhalation. K9 remained with body until forcibly removed by firefighters." Emma heard footsteps, unsteady but purposeful. Her father backing up more. "She stayed with him, Marcus." "She didn't leave him alone, but she didn't save him. All that training, all those commendations, and she couldn't save the one person who mattered. Danny loved that dog more than anything, read to her every night, drew pictures of her at school, and she failed him." "No." A new voice, Mrs. Henderson, breathless and fierce. "I failed him. You failed him. The school failed him by not accounting for every child. The warehouse failed him by not maintaining their fire systems. But that dog, she did exactly what Danny would have wanted. She saved everyone she could." "Get out of my way, Mom." "Make me." The steel in the old woman's voice could have cut glass. "You'll have to go through me to get to that dog. And we both know you won't. Because somewhere under all that whiskey and rage is still my son, Danny's father, the man who used to cry at dog food commercials." Emma heard a thud, someone sitting down hard. Then Marcus's voice, smaller now. "I can't do this anymore, Mom. I can't wake up every day knowing he's gone. I can't look at that dog and remember how happy they were together." "Then don't look at what you lost," Mrs. Henderson said. "Look at what Bella saved. 12 families got their children back that day. 12. Sarah Chen is starting high school next year. Tommy Rodriguez just made the soccer team. Little Maya Thompson, remember her? The one with pigtails? She's learning violin. They're alive because of Bella. But Danny would be furious with you." The words landed like slaps. That boy had more love in his pinky finger than most people have in their whole body. You think he'd want Bella hurt? You think he'd want her puppies orphaned? For shame, Marcus Andrew Webb, for shame. Emma heard movement, shuffling feet. Through the crack under the door, she saw her father's slippers move toward the living room. The voices grew muffled, but she caught fragments. "Need help. Grief counseling. Turning into someone you're not." Storm pawed at the door, whining. He wanted out, wanted to face the danger, just like his mother, Emma thought. But Shadow curled tighter against her, content to wait out the storm. 2 puppies, 2 different ways of facing the world. 20 minutes passed. 30. Finally, her father knocked softly. "Em? You can come out now." She emerged to find Marcus slumped on their couch, head in his hands. Mrs. Henderson sat beside him, rubbing his back like he was 6 instead of 45. Her father stood by the window, watching the street as if expecting more trouble. "I'm sorry," Marcus said without looking up. I'm sorry. The words ran together like rain. "I didn't mean I wouldn't have—" "Yes, you would have," Mrs. Henderson said firmly. "If we hadn't stopped you. That's why you need help, son. Real help. Not the kind that comes in a bottle." Storm wriggled free from Emma's arms and did something that stopped everyone's breath. He walked straight to Marcus and placed one tiny paw on the man's knee. Those blue eyes, so startling in the gray face, looked up without fear or judgment. Marcus froze. His eyes. "Like Danny's?" Mrs. Henderson whispered. I noticed it too. Bella's puppies? Marcus's voice broke again. She had puppies? Emma nodded, finding her courage. 2 boys, Storm and Shadow. They're 8 weeks old. They need their mama. 8 weeks. Marcus did the math, his face crumbling. She was pregnant when I locked her in the garage. Oh, God, she was pregnant and I... Stop! Dr. Mitchell's voice cut through the self-recrimination. What's done is done. The question now is what happens next. Bella's going to need months of recovery. The puppies need stability. And you, Mr. Webb, need to decide who you want to be, the man who hurts or the man who heals. Marcus finally looked at Emma, really looked at her. You saved her. This little girl saved her when I... He couldn't finish. She was being a mama, Emma said simply. And mamas need help sometimes. That's what people do. We help. Danny used to say that. The words came out wondering. Every time he brought home another stray, we have to help, Daddy. That's what people do. Sounds like a smart boy, Emma said. I bet he's watching right now. I bet he's glad his dog is getting better. That broke something in Marcus. He sobbed, great gulping sobs that shook his whole body. Storm stayed by his knee, tail wagging slowly, offering the kind of unconditional acceptance only dogs can give. Shadow finally crept forward, too, sniffing at Marcus's shoes. The security footage, Mrs. Henderson said suddenly. There's something else. Something I never told you because I thought it would hurt too much. But maybe you need to know. Marcus looked up, eyes red and swollen. What? I got a copy from my friend at the fire department. The part they didn't release to the news. She pulled out her phone, hands shaking slightly. Danny was conscious when Bella found him. For just a moment. Mom, don't. He needs to see. She found the video, grainy and smoke-obscured. Watch. Just watch. Emma shouldn't have seen it. Her father tried to shield her, but she caught glimpses. A boy in smoke, curled small. Bella appearing like a guardian angel, nudging him. The boy's hand reaching up, touching her face. His mouth moving. What's he saying? Marcus leaned forward, desperate. What's he... The fire investigator read his lips. 3 words, Marcus. Good girl, Bella. The silence that followed was complete. Even the puppies were still, as if they understood the weight of the moment. He wasn't scared, Marcus whispered. My boy wasn't scared because she was there. She stayed with him, Mrs. Henderson continued, covered him with her body. The firefighters had to physically carry her out. She fought them, trying to stay with Danny. That's love, son. That's the kind of love you're trying to destroy. Marcus buried his face in his hands again, but this time Emma saw his shoulders shake with something other than rage. Grief, clean and honest, finally breaking through years of misdirected anger. Her father's phone rang, shattering the moment. He answered quickly, his face changing as he listened. What do you mean, her heart? No, I understand. We'll be right there. Daddy? Emma's voice came out small. Bella's heart rate is dropping. She's struggling. They need permission to... He looked at Marcus. You're still technically her owner. They need your permission for an experimental treatment. It might save her, but... Do it! Marcus stood unsteadily. Whatever it takes, do it. He looked at Emma. Can I come with you? To see her? I need to tell her. I need to say I'm sorry. Emma looked at the puppies in her arms, then at the broken man who'd tried to hurt their mother. She thought about what her mama would do, about forgiveness and second chances, and how love was the only medicine that worked on everything. She'd want to see you, Emma said finally. Dogs don't hold grudges. That's why they're better than people sometimes. The drive to the emergency clinic was silent except for the puppies' soft whimpers. Emma sat in the back with them while Marcus rode up front, his face pressed to the window like a child. Mrs. Henderson followed in her own car, determined to see this through. At the clinic, the vet, Dr. Patel, met them with a grim expression. She's fighting, but the infection did significant damage to her heart. There's a new treatment, basically a cardiac support medication combined with aggressive antibiotics, but it's risky. What kind of risk? Dr. Mitchell asked. 30% chance it could cause a fatal arrhythmia, but without it... She didn't need to finish. Marcus stepped forward. Can I see her first? Before the treatment? Dr. Patel hesitated, then nodded. 5 minutes. She's barely conscious. They followed her to the ICU, a space filled with beeping machines and the antiseptic smell of medical care. Bella lay on a raised bed, IV lines running into her leg, monitors tracking every heartbeat. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. But when Marcus approached, her eyes opened. Just a crack, but enough. "Hey, girl," Marcus whispered, his hand hovering over her head, afraid to touch. "It's me. I know you probably hate me. I know His voice broke. "I'm so sorry. For everything. For the garage. For the knife. For blaming you." Bella's tail moved. Just once. A single, weak thump against the bed. "Danny loved you," Marcus continued. "Loved you more than anything. And you loved him back. You stayed with him. You were a good girl, Bella. The best girl. And I'm sorry I forgot that." Emma stepped forward with the puppies. "Look, Bella, your babies. They've been so brave. Just like you." Bella's eyes focused with visible effort. Storm yipped, straining toward his mother. Shadow made soft, whining noises. And Bella, despite everything, managed to lift her head just enough to sniff them. "You have to get better," Emma told her firmly. "They need you. And Mr. Marcus needs you too. He's just been too sad to remember. But love doesn't go away. It just gets covered up sometimes." Bella looked at Marcus then, really looked at him. And in her eyes was the same unconditional acceptance Storm had shown. No anger, no blame, just the patient love dogs offer even to those who least deserve it. Marcus broke down completely then, kneeling beside the bed. "Please don't die. Please. I can't lose you too. You're all I have left of him." Dr. Patel cleared her throat gently. "We need to start the treatment now. Her numbers are dropping." They were ushered out, leaving Bella to face another battle for her life. In the waiting room, Marcus sat with Storm in his lap, the puppy having claimed him completely. Shadow stayed with Emma, but his eyes tracked Storm's every move. 70%, Marcus kept muttering. 70% chance she makes it. That's good odds. Better than Danny had. "She's strong," Emma assured him. "She saved 12 people. She can save herself." Mrs. Henderson arrived with coffee and blankets, turning the waiting room into a makeshift camp. "We'll wait together," she announced, "like a family, a strange, broken, put-back-together family." And so they waited. Through the night, as Seattle rain drummed against the windows, Marcus told stories about Danny, how he'd taught Bella to play hide and seek, how they'd share peanut butter sandwiches, how Danny had written essays about wanting to be a K-9 officer just like his dad. "He would have been good at it," Emma said sleepily, shadow warm against her chest. "He sounds like he had a good heart." "The best," Marcus agreed. "Just like someone else I know." He looked at Emma with wonder. 6 years old and you stood up to me. Do you know how brave that was?" "I wasn't brave. I was scared. But Bella needed help. Sometimes you do scary things for love." Dawn was breaking, painting the sky pink and gold, when Dr. Patel finally emerged. Her scrubs were rumpled, her eyes tired, but she was smiling. "She made it through. Heart rate is stabilizing. The infection is responding to treatment. She's not out of the woods yet, but..." The rest was lost in the chaos of celebration. Marcus hugged his mother, then Dr. Mitchell. then shocked everyone by dropping to one knee in front of Emma. "I owe you an apology," he said formally, "and a debt I can never repay. You saved her when I tried to—" He took a shaky breath. "Danny would have liked you. You're the kind of friend he always made, the kind who helps." Emma looked at this broken man trying to put himself back together and made a decision. "Would you like to help us take care of her? When she comes home, she'll need lots of help. And the puppies need to learn things. Storm especially. He's going to be just like his mama." Marcus's face crumpled with gratitude. "I'd like that. I'd like that very much." Behind them, the sun broke fully over the horizon, flooding the waiting room with light. And somewhere in the ICU, a hero dog breathed in and out, each breath a small victory against the darkness. She'd saved 12 people from fire. Now, perhaps she was saving one more from drowning in his own grief. The real rescue, Emma thought, was just beginning. The call came at 3:47 a.m., jarring everyone from their makeshift beds in the waiting room. Dr. Patel's voice was tight with urgency. "She's crashing. If you want to say goodbye—" They ran through the sterile corridors, Marcus carrying both puppies while Emma clutched her father's hand. The ICU was chaos, machines screaming, staff moving with practiced desperation around Bella's still form. "Cardiac arrest," Dr. Patel explained tersely. "The infection created a clot. It's blocking blood flow to her heart. We've been working on her for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Emma knew from her father's books that brain damage began after 4 minutes without oxygen. After 10, no. The word tore from Marcus's throat. "No, you keep trying. You don't stop. Mr. Webb, you don't stop." He thrust the puppies at Mrs. Henderson and pushed forward. "I know canine CPR. I taught it for 15 years. "Let me, sir, our staff is highly trained. She's my partner." The words echoed off the walls. "She was my partner and I failed her, and you will let me try?" Something in his voice, the raw desperation of a man with nothing left to lose, made Dr. Patel step back. Marcus dropped beside Bella, his hands finding the familiar position on her chest. "Come on, girl. Not like this. Not when I just found you again." His compressions were textbook perfect, years of training overriding everything else. "Danny's waiting for you, but not yet. You hear me? Not yet." Emma watched through tears as this broken man fought for the dog he'd tried to destroy just days ago. Storm and Shadow howled in Mrs. Henderson's arms, their puppy voices high and mournful. The sound seemed to pierce something in the universe, a crack in the cruel machinery of loss. "Please," Emma whispered, clutching her mother's necklace. "Please, Mama, if you can hear me up there, help her." Help them both. Marcus's compressions never faltered, even as sweat dripped down his face. 12 kids, Bella. You saved 12 kids. Sarah Chen, Tommy Rodriguez, Maya Thompson. They're alive because of you." He breathed into her muzzle, then resumed compressions. "Their parents got to tuck them in that night because of you. Got to hear them laugh again. Got to watch them grow up." The monitors stayed flat. 15 minutes now. Even the staff looked away. "But you know what?" Marcus's voice cracked, but his hands kept moving. "I never thanked you. 5 years. And I never said thank you for staying with him, for making sure he wasn't alone, for being braver than me." Dr. Mitchell stepped forward. "Marcus." "No!" Marcus's compressions grew fiercer. "She doesn't get to die thinking I hate her. She doesn't—" His voice broke completely. "Thank you, Bella. Thank you for loving my boy. Thank you for trying. Thank you for being the best dog, the best partner, the best friend he could have asked for." 20 minutes. Dr. Patel moved to call time of death. That's when Shadow did something extraordinary. The quiet puppy, who'd always hidden behind his brother, suddenly fought free from Mrs. Henderson's arms and ran to his mother. Before anyone could stop him, he climbed onto the table and pressed his tiny nose to Bella's face, right where Danny's hand had touched in that final video. And he sang. Not a howl, not a bark, but something in between, a keening, wordless melody that spoke of loss and love and the unbearable space between. Storm joined from Mrs. Henderson's arms, their puppy voices harmonizing in a song older than language. "Danny used to do that," Marcus whispered, his hands still moving. "When she was sad, he'd sing to her, said dogs understood music better than words." Emma found herself humming her mother's song, their song. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." Mrs. Henderson's voice joined, cracked with age but true. Dr. Mitchell added his baritone. Even Dr. Patel and the nurses found themselves pulled into this strange chorus around a dying dog. "You make me happy when skies are gray." Marcus's tears fell on Bella's fur as he continued compressions. The puppies sang, the humans sang, the monitors screamed their electronic dirge. And somewhere between heartbreak and hope, between ending and beginning, something shifted. A blip on the monitor. "Wait!" Dr. Patel lunged forward. "Did you see?" Another blip, irregular, faint, but undeniably there. "She's trying," Dr. Patel breathed. "Keep going. Whatever you're doing, keep going." The singing grew stronger. Marcus's compressions found a rhythm that matched the melody. Shadow pressed closer to his mother's face, his song becoming more insistent. Storm's voice rose in counterpoint, commanding his mother back from wherever she'd gone. The blips became a pattern. The pattern became a rhythm. And then Bella gasped. It wasn't dramatic. Not like movies where the hero springs back to life fully recovered, just a small, painful intake of breath. But it was enough. The machines registered the spark of life returning, fighting its way back into a body that had every reason to quit. "We've got her," Dr. Patel said, pushing Marcus gently aside. "We've got her. Let us work." They stabilized her over the next hour. Medications to support her heart, oxygen to help her breathe, fluids to combat the shock. But she was alive. Against all odds, against all medical probability, Bella was alive. Marcus collapsed in the hallway, sobbing like a child. Emma sat beside him, Storm in her lap. The puppy licked the man's face with the same gentle persistence his mother had shown. "She came back," Marcus whispered. "I don't deserve it, but she came back." "Love doesn't care about deserving," Emma said, wisdom beyond her years shining through. "Mama used to say love just is, like breathing. You can hold your breath for a while, but eventually you have to let it out." Mrs. Henderson sank into a chair, shadow curled against her chest. 23 minutes. That dog was gone for 23 minutes. If that's not a miracle, I don't know what is. "It wasn't a miracle," Dr. Mitchell said quietly. "It was love. Marcus's love finally breaking through his grief. The puppies calling their mother back. All of us refusing to let go." He looked at his daughter with pride. Sometimes love is stronger than medicine. Dr. Patel emerged 2 hours later, exhausted but cautiously optimistic. "She's stable. Still critical, but stable. The next 24 hours will tell us about brain function, organ damage, but she's fighting." "That dog has more fight in her than any patient I've ever seen." "Can we see her?" Emma asked. "Briefly, and only 2 at a time. She needs rest." Emma and Marcus went first. Bella lay surrounded by machines, but her eyes were open, clouded with pain medication, but aware. When she saw Marcus, her tail attempted a wag. "I'm sorry," Marcus said simply, "for everything, for failing you, for failing him, for failing myself. He touched her head gently, the first kind touch he'd given her in 5 years. But I'm here now, if you'll have me, if you can forgive what can't be forgiven. Bella's answer was to weakly lick his hand. Emma placed Shadow on the bed. Dr. Patel had bent the rules, understanding some medicine came with 4 legs. The puppy curled against his mother's side, purring like a cat. The sight of it, mother and child reunited, broke something loose in Marcus. "I want to do better," he said. "I want to be the man Danny thought I was. The man who helped dogs help people, not whatever I've become." Over the next hours, they took turns sitting with Bella. Storm proved himself his mother's son, refusing to leave her side until forcibly removed. Shadow played the role of comfort, moving between family members with an emotional intelligence beyond his weeks. Mrs. Henderson finally convinced everyone to go home for real rest and clean clothes. "We'll come back this afternoon. Bella needs to heal, and so do we." But Marcus hesitated at the door. What if something happens while we're gone?" Emma tugged his hand. "Then she'll know we trust her to be strong. Sometimes being there means knowing when to let someone rest." The ride home was quiet. Marcus followed them to the Mitchell house, ostensibly to help with the puppies, but really because none of them wanted to separate. This strange family forged in crisis wasn't ready to dissolve. They found the living room window boarded where Marcus had broken it in his rage. A neighbor's kindness, Dr. Mitchell realized. The broken glass had been swept up, the furniture straightened. On the kitchen table sat a casserole and a note. "Heard about the hero dog. Praying for you all. The Jacobsons." "Good people still exist," Mrs. Henderson murmured, "even when we forget to be good ourselves." They ate in exhausted silence, the puppies playing at their feet. Storm had claimed Marcus completely, following him everywhere. Shadow stuck close to Emma, but kept one eye on his brother, ever the watchful one. As Emma headed to bed, it was barely noon but felt like midnight, Marcus stopped her. "I need to tell you something," he said, "about Danny, about who he was." He pulled out his phone, scrolled to a photo. A boy with Marcus's jaw but gentler eyes smiled from the screen, Bella beside him, both wearing birthday hats. "His 8th birthday," Marcus said softly. "Last week before, he didn't want a party, said he'd rather volunteer at the animal shelter, spent his birthday cleaning kennels and reading to scared dogs." "He sounds nice," Emma said. He was everything good about this world, kind when kids were cruel, gentle when others were rough. He got in trouble once for giving his lunch money to a classmate who forgot theirs. When I asked him why, he said, "Because being hungry hurts, Dad." Emma studied the photo. "He has Storm's eyes." "I thought so too." Marcus swallowed hard. I think maybe Bella knew I needed him. Needed something of Danny to hold on to. Does that sound crazy? Mama said love leaves fingerprints on everything it touches. Maybe Storm is one of Danny's fingerprints." Marcus pulled Emma into a hug, awkward, desperate, healing. "Thank you for saving her, for saving me, for being brave enough to stand between a broken man and his worst mistake." "That's what people do," Emma said simply. "We help." That afternoon, when they returned to the clinic, they found Bella improved, weak still, wounded but undeniably present. Her eyes tracked movement, her tail wagged for each visitor. When the puppies were placed beside her, she cleaned them with careful attention, reclaiming her role as mother. "Brain function appears normal," Dr. Patel reported, amazed. "Organ function is recovering. I've never seen anything like it. By every medical metric, she shouldn't have survived." "But she did," Emma said, "because sometimes love is stronger than metrics." The truth came out in pieces. like a puzzle assembled in reverse, each revelation reshaping everything that came before. It started with a simple question from Emma as they sat in the Mitchells' living room, Bella home at last after a week in the hospital. "Mrs. Henderson," Emma asked, carefully spooning medicine into Bella's mouth, "why did you wait so long to tell about the video?" The elderly woman's hands stilled on her knitting. Marcus, who'd been teaching Storm basic commands, looked up sharply. They'd all been dancing around this question for days, but leave it to a 6-year-old to cut straight through. "I thought I was protecting him," Mrs. Henderson said finally. "Marcus was already destroyed. Danny was gone. What good would it do to show him that final moment?" "But it wasn't just the final moment," Dr. Mitchell said carefully. "There was more to that video, wasn't there?" Mrs. Henderson's needles clicked faster. "How did you—" "I have a friend at the fire department too," Dr. Mitchell admitted. "He mentioned there were parts that were never released, parts that might change the whole story." Marcus stood abruptly, Storm whimpering at the sudden movement. "What are you talking about?" His mother set down her knitting with shaking hands. "The full video. I've carried it for 5 years like a stone in my chest. I thought if you knew it would make it worse. Worse than believing Bella failed? Worse than spending 5 years hating the one thing Danny loved most?" Marcus's voice was dangerously quiet. "Show me. Marcus, show me." Mrs. Henderson pulled out her phone with trembling fingers. The video was saved in a folder marked simply Truth. She'd looked at it exactly once, the day she'd received it, then locked it away with all the other unbearable truths of loss. The footage was grainy, security camera quality, but clear enough. They watched the warehouse fill with smoke, children scattering, teachers shouting, then Bella moving with purpose through the chaos, guiding children to exits, going back again and again. "There," Mrs. Henderson whispered. "Watch the left side." A small figure broke away from a group heading for the exit. Danny, clutching something to his chest, running not away from the fire but deeper into the building. "What's he doing?" Emma asked. "Mr. Fitzgerald's classroom," Marcus breathed. "The hamster. He went back for the class hamster." The video jumped, smoke obscuring the cameras, then cleared. Bella searching systematically, her training evident even in crisis. She found Danny in a supply closet, already unconscious, the hamster cage still clutched in his arms. The small animal was motionless. "He died trying to save something that was already gone," Marcus said numbly. "Keep watching," his mother urged. Bella tried to drag Danny out, but the angle was wrong, his body too limp. She repositioned, tried again. The smoke thickened. Then movement at the closet door. Another child crawling, coughing, lost in the black. Emma gasped. "There's another kid!" They watched Bella make the choice. She looked at Danny, then at the moving child. Back to Danny. The other child was crawling the wrong direction toward the fire. In seconds they'd be lost. "No," Marcus whispered, understanding dawning. Bella made her choice. She left Danny to save the child who could still be saved. The video showed her grabbing the girl's shirt, dragging her to safety, then immediately turning back for Danny. But by then, the firefighters were there, pulling her away, forcing her out. "Maya Thompson," Mrs. Henderson said quietly. 7 years old. Asthma. She wouldn't have lasted another minute. The room was silent except for Bella's gentle breathing and the puppy's play. Marcus stared at the frozen final frame. Bella fighting the firefighters, trying to get back to Danny. "She chose," he said flatly. "She chose another child over my son." "She chose life over death," Dr. Mitchell corrected gently. "She made the hardest choice any rescue worker faces, save who you can save." "You don't understand," Marcus exploded, Storm cowering against Emma. "Danny was everything, my whole world, and she left him. To save Maya." Emma's voice rose to match his. "Maya who's learning violin, Maya who gets to grow up. Would Danny want her dead too?" The question hung in the air like a blade. Bella, sensing the tension, tried to stand, wobbling on legs still weak from her ordeal. She moved not away from Marcus's anger, but toward it, pressing her head against his leg. "Don't," Marcus said, but his voice broke. "Don't comfort me. I don't deserve—" "The full video isn't finished," Mrs. Henderson interrupted. "There's audio from the firefighters' equipment. They recorded everything for the investigation." She hit play again. The sounds of chaos, alarms, shouting, the roar of fire, then, clear as day, a firefighter's voice. "The dog won't leave. She's fighting us. Jesus, she bit Rodriguez." "Let her go!" Another voice. "She knows where the kid is." "Negative. Structure's compromised. We pull out now." Scuffling sounds. Bella's barks, desperate and wild. Then, "Carry the damn dog if you have to. Move, move, move." "She didn't give up," Emma whispered. "She never gave up on him." Marcus sank to his knees, Storm immediately climbing into his lap. "But I gave up on her. I spent 5 years hating her for making an impossible choice, for being what I trained her to be, a hero who saves everyone she can." "And now?" Mrs. Henderson asked softly. "Now I know the truth." Marcus looked at Bella, seeing her clearly for the first time in years. "Danny went back for that hamster because I taught him every life matters. He died being exactly who I raised him to be, someone who helps. And Bella had to choose between honoring his memory by saving who she could save or dying with him for nothing. She chose what Danny would have chosen," Emma said with startling clarity. "To help." The revelation hung between them, reshaping 5 years of grief into something more complex but somehow cleaner. Marcus pulled Bella close, burying his face in her fur. "I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry. You were perfect, and I tortured you for it." "There's more," Mrs. Henderson said quietly. "The reason I finally decided to tell you, the investigator found something else in that closet, something Danny had with him." She pulled out a small envelope, yellowed with age. "The school gave it to me last month. They found it cleaning out old storage. It was in his backpack, protected by the cage. He must have written it that morning." With shaking hands, Marcus opened the envelope. Inside, a child's careful handwriting. "My Hero" by Danny Webb. "My hero has 4 legs and the biggest heart in the whole world. Her name is Bella, and she is my dad's partner, but really she is my best friend. She saves people every day, but she also saves me when I'm sad. When Mom left, Bella slept in my bed every night until I stopped crying. Heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they have fur and wet noses, and they love you even when you forget your homework or strike out at baseball. Bella is the best hero because she shows me that being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you help anyway. I want to be just like Bella when I grow up, kind and brave and always ready to help. Dad says the best heroes are the ones who make other people feel safe. Bella makes everyone feel safe, especially me." The end. The paper trembled in Marcus's hands. Tears dropped onto the careful pencil marks, blurring the words. He loved her. Even at the end, he loved her. "And she loved him," Emma said. "That's why she tried so hard. Love doesn't stop just because someone goes to heaven. Mama told me that. Love just keeps going, like light from stars that died 1,000,000 years ago but still shine." Bella managed to stand fully, limping to Marcus. She placed her graying muzzle on his shoulder, offering comfort as she'd done 1,000 times before the fire changed everything. Storm and Shadow joined them, creating a pile of fur and forgiveness. "Maya Thompson," Marcus said suddenly. "I need to meet her. Need to see who Danny helped save." "Are you sure?" Dr. Mitchell asked. "No. But I need to do it anyway. Maybe that's what healing looks like. Doing what needs doing even when you're not sure." Mrs. Henderson pulled out her phone. "I have her mother's number. We've stayed in touch. She asks about you sometimes, wants to thank you but didn't know how." "Thank me?" Marcus laughed bitterly. "For what?" "For raising a boy who'd go back for a hamster. For training a dog who'd save her daughter. For being part of the reason she gets to tuck Maya in every night." The call was brief, awkward, but ended with an invitation to dinner the following week. Marcus hung up, looking dazed. "She says Maya's been asking to meet Bella. Calls her the angel dog who saved her life." "Maybe that's how we heal," Emma suggested, wise beyond her years. "By seeing the good that came from the bad. Like how flowers grow where forest fires burned." That evening, as Seattle's ever-present rain tapped against windows, they sat together. This strange family forged by tragedy and reformed by truth. Bella dozed, surrounded by her puppies, her family, her pack. Marcus had finally stopped drinking, his hands steady for the first time in years as he helped Emma teach Storm to sit. "I want to go back," Marcus announced suddenly. "To training, not with the police. I burned that bridge. But maybe I could work with Dr. Mitchell, train therapy dogs, teach them to save people in different ways. Bella's puppies would be perfect for that," Dr. Mitchell said thoughtfully. "Storm has her courage. Shadow has her intuition. And they have Danny's eyes," Mrs. Henderson added softly. "Both of them in different lights. Like he's still here, still helping." Emma looked around at these broken people slowly mending like bones knitting back together, painful but stronger at the break. Her mama had been right. Love was the only medicine that worked on everything. Sometimes it just took a while to kick in. "We should write it down," Emma announced. "The whole story. So people know that heroes don't always win, but they always try. And that sometimes the trying is what matters most." Marcus nodded slowly. Danny would like that. A story where Bella's the hero she always was. Where love wins in the end, even if the ending isn't what we wanted. Outside, the rain continued its Seattle symphony, washing the city clean for tomorrow's possibilities. And in a small house on Maple Street, a hero dog slept peacefully, surrounded by love, her impossible work finally complete. She'd saved 12 children from fire. She'd saved Marcus from drowning in grief. And somehow, in the strange arithmetic of grace that balanced the scales of one small boy who'd loved her more than life itself, the truth, it turned out, didn't set them free, but it did let them breathe again. And for now, that was enough. 6 months later, spring had transformed Seattle from gray meditation to green celebration. The Mitchell house buzzed with controlled chaos as Emma carefully brushed Shadow's gleaming black coat. He'd grown into a thoughtful young dog, still smaller than his brother, but possessing an uncanny ability to sense distress before it showed. "Hold still, you," Emma giggled as Shadow tried to lick her face. "Your first real job is in an hour. You have to look professional." Through the window, she could see Marcus working with Storm in the backyard. The gray puppy, now a striking adolescent, was practicing his alerts, barking 3 times when Marcus pretended to have a seizure. They'd discovered Storm's gift by accident when Mrs. Henderson had a mild stroke 3 months ago. The young dog had known something was wrong minutes before she collapsed, alerting them in time to get help. "Remarkable instincts," Dr. Mitchell had said. "Just like his mother." Now Storm was training to be a medical alert dog, while Shadow was on track to become a therapy dog specializing in trauma victims. It seemed fitting, Danny's fingerprints, as Emma called them, still helping people. Bella supervised from her bed on the porch, moving slower these days but still the matriarch. Her injuries had healed, leaving scars that Marcus called her medals of honor. She'd retired from active service but found new purpose in teaching her sons, demonstrating patience and gentleness with a wisdom earned through fire. "Emma! They're here!" Dr. Mitchell called from the front door. Emma's stomach fluttered with nervous excitement. Today was the official launch of Danny's Angels, the therapy dog program Marcus and her father had created. They'd worked tirelessly for months, getting certified, finding sponsors, convincing skeptical administrators. Today, Shadow would make his first official visit to Seattle Children's Hospital. The living room was crowded with people who'd become family. Mrs. Henderson sat in the best chair, wearing her Sunday dress and a proud smile. The Jacobsons from down the street had come, bringing cookies. Even Dr. Patel had closed her clinic early to attend. But it was the unexpected guests who made Emma's heart race. A woman with kind eyes and a girl about 11 stood nervously by the door. The girl had Maya written on her hand in purple marker. She'd been practicing violin and forgotten to wash it off. When she saw Bella, her face lit up like Christmas morning. "Is that her? The angel dog?" Marcus stepped forward, Storm at his side. "Maya Thompson, I'd like you to meet Bella, the dog who saved your life." What happened next would stay with Emma forever. Maya didn't run to Bella. She walked slowly, respectfully, the way you'd approach a shrine. She knelt beside the old dog and whispered something too quiet for others to hear. Bella's tail thumped once, twice, then she did something she'd never done with strangers. She rested her great head in Maya's lap. "She remembers me," Maya breathed. "After all this time, she remembers." "Dogs never forget an act of love," Marcus said softly. "And saving you was love. Danny's love, working through her." Maya's mother, Teresa, wiped her eyes. "We brought something." Maya insisted. She pulled out a certificate, handmade and decorated with childish enthusiasm. "The Thompson family hereby declares Bella the bravest dog in the universe and promises that her story will be told forever and ever." Emma thought her heart might burst as Maya carefully presented the certificate to Bella, who sniffed it seriously before licking Maya's face. The room erupted in the kind of laughter that comes after tears, bright and healing. "There's something else," Teresa said, pulling out her phone. "Maya's been writing to other kids Bella saved." They all wanted to say something. The video played on the TV screen. 12 faces, teenagers now, appeared one by one. "Hi, Bella. I'm Sarah Chen. I'm class president now." "Tommy Rodriguez here. Made varsity soccer." "I'm getting married next month, Bella. You're the reason I met my fiancé." Each child Bella had saved was living, thriving, creating ripples of life that spread outward endlessly. By the end, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. 12 lives, Marcus murmured. Hundreds of ripples. Thousands of moments that exist because she, his voice caught, because she chose to save who she could save. Storm padded over to Maya, performing his alert bark. The girl looked confused until her mother gasped. "Your blood sugar. Maya, check your levels." The girl pulled out a testing kit. She was diabetic, they learned, and sure enough, her levels were dropping. Storm had detected it before any symptoms showed. "How did he know?" Maya asked, awestruck. "Same way his mama knew where to find you in the smoke," Emma said simply. "Dogs know things, especially hero dogs." Mrs. Henderson cleared her throat. "Speaking of knowing things, I have an announcement. I've been talking to the city council about that old warehouse, the one where it happened. Marcus tensed, but his mother continued. They're tearing it down, but I've proposed something for the space. A training center. The Danny Webb Memorial Canine Training Academy for rescue dogs, therapy dogs, all kinds of helper dogs. The room went silent. Marcus stared at his mother. Mom, I can't. The money alone is already pledged, Dr. Mitchell interrupted. The families of the 12 kids Bella saved. They've been fundraising for months. Teresa organized the whole thing. We call ourselves the Bella's Dozen, Teresa explained. 12 families who owe everything to one dog's courage. We've raised enough for the building and first year's operations. It seemed like the least we could do. Marcus broke down then, Storm immediately pressing against him while Shadow went to Mrs. Henderson, who was crying too. Even Bella hauled herself up, making her slow way to the man who'd found his way back to love. Danny would be so proud, Mrs. Henderson whispered. His memorial won't be a gravestone gathering moss. It'll be dogs learning to save lives. Children learning compassion. Love multiplying every single day. Emma felt her father's hand on her shoulder. You did this, he said quietly. That morning you chose to help instead of hide. None of this happens without one little girl being brave. I wasn't brave, Emma protested. I was scared the whole time. That's what brave is, Maya said, surprising everyone. Being scared but helping anyway. That's what your essay said, Mr. Marcus. The one about Danny and Bella. Marcus wiped his eyes. You read that? Mom found it online. You posted it on the anniversary. I've read it like 100 times. Maya pulled out a printed copy, worn from handling. This part especially. Heroes aren't people or dogs who never fail. They're the ones who keep trying even when failing breaks their hearts. Bella tried to save everyone. She couldn't. But she never stopped trying. That's what made her Danny's hero. That's what makes her mine. The afternoon dissolved into celebration and planning. Shadow performed brilliantly at his hospital debut, bringing smiles to children facing challenges no child should face. Storm alerted to 2 more medical events. Mrs. Henderson's blood pressure spike and a guest's allergic reaction starting. He's better than any machine, Dr. Patel marveled. As the sun set, painting Seattle's sky in shades of hope, Emma found herself on the porch with Bella. The old dog leaned against her, peaceful in the way of creatures who've finished their hardest work. You brought everyone together, Emma told her. Like Mama did. She made people better just by loving them. So do you. Bella's tail thumped agreement. Inside, Emma could hear laughter. Marcus teaching Maya's mother the commands for Storm, Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Patel discussing expanding the program, Mrs. Henderson telling stories about Danny that made people laugh instead of cry. Emma? Maya appeared in the doorway. Can I sit with you guys? They sat in comfortable silence, 2 girls whose lives had been shaped by one remarkable dog's choices. Finally, Maya spoke. I think about him sometimes. Danny, I feel guilty that I'm here, and he's not. Emma considered this with 6-year-old wisdom aged by loss. Mama said guilt is just love with nowhere to go. Maybe instead of feeling guilty, you could do something with that love. Like live really well, be happy, help people, make it count. Make what count? The chance he gave you. 'Cause that's what he did. He gave you his chance to grow up. That's like the best present ever. You have to use it. Maya nodded slowly. I'm going to be a vet, like your dad. Help animals who help people. Danny would like that, Emma said confidently. He'd probably say, good job, and give you a high five. He sounds like a high five kind of kid. As if in agreement, a breeze stirred the wind chimes Sarah Mitchell had hung years ago. They sang their metal song while 3 dogs and 2 girls in one endless sky held the moment like a prayer. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Shadow would comfort his first trauma victim. Storm would alert to his first real seizure. The Danny Webb Memorial Canine Training Academy would break ground. Life would continue its relentless forward motion. But tonight, in the glow of connection and purpose, everything was exactly as it should be. Broken hearts mending, new love growing where old pain had been. And at the center of it all, an old dog with scars and wisdom, proof that sometimes the greatest tragedy can become the seeds of the greatest good. Look, Maya pointed to the first star appearing in the darkening sky. Make a wish. Emma closed her eyes, thinking of her mother, of Danny, of all the love that never really leaves. But when she opened them, she didn't share her wish. Some things were too precious for words. Instead, she hugged Bella closer and whispered, "Good girl, the very best girl." And somewhere, carried on the Seattle wind, she could have sworn she heard an echo, a young boy's voice, bright with love, the very best. As we reach the sunset years of our lives, we often wonder if our struggles have meaning, if the pain we've endured can somehow transform into purpose. This story of Bella reminds us that it's never too late for redemption, never too late to choose love over bitterness. Like Marcus, many of us carry wounds that have hardened our hearts, lost loved ones, broken dreams, regrets that wake us at 3 a.m. But watching a 75-year-old grandmother choose courage, seeing a broken man find healing through forgiveness, we're reminded that our generation still has gifts to give. We've learned that helping others isn't just what we do, it's who we become. Whether it's mentoring a troubled youth, volunteering at the shelter, or simply being the neighbor who notices when someone needs help, we can be the angels with silver hair instead of fur. Our scars, like Bella's, can become medals of honor when we use them to light another's darkness. How has an animal touched your life when you needed it most? What moment of unexpected kindness from a stranger restored your faith in humanity? Please share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what another heart needs to hear today.